Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to go over a mythic item that's kind of not been reviewed in quite the right way for most of the stuff that I've seen personally, and that is Malacath's Band of Brutality. People have been kind of looking at this and just saying, well, if you have a really low crit chance build in PvP, it might be a good item to run. They're kind of overlooking the fact that ZOS really reworked Impen specifically to benefit this item and to help sell the DLC for people wanting to use this item. So right now, a typical crit modifier is a 50% boost to damage. If you're in a CP campaign, most people run at least a 20% boost through CP, giving us 70% modifier. Now, with Greymoor, they have given every character an inherent base resistance to crit damage of 1,350, which is basically a 20% reduction in crit damage across the board to every character. So even if you have like gank builds that were running all divines, you're now just inherently 20% more resistant to crit damage. And when you're in a CP campaign, you can get an extra 1,409 CP crit resist without really speccing that heavy into it, which is another 20% reduction. If you run just 5 pieces of Impen because you want to have a couple sturdy or well-fitted, you're going to pick up another 890 on body pieces just with 5. And that will take you to a total of 55% mitigation of crit damage. And if you have a healer that is running transmutation, you're gonna jump up to 76% mitigation because they went ahead and gave transmutation a slight buff on its 5-piece to take your crit resist up to 1,400 instead of the 13. So that's another 21%. So at this point in time, with the release of Greymoor, you're going to have to spec fairly heavy into your crit damage multiplier, whether that's through running a Khajiit, making sure you have minor force, probably even running the shadow. So with that being said, you're looking at 3 different things or even more that you're going to have to do to get your crit damage and its modifier up high enough that it goes past the straight 25% of Malacath's ban. Also, when you run Malacath's ban, you'll no longer need to be putting those champion points into your increased crit damage. So that's going to allow you to get even more of your base damage increase through champion points beyond just the 25% from the item itself. Plus, you have to take into consideration the fact that you actually have to be hitting crits to get that damage boost, whereas with Malacath, it's just a flat increase to your damage. And it's actually one of the items in the game that is literally doing a flat increase to all of your damage. This includes proc sets like monster sets that couldn't crit anyways. So there will be quite a bit of benefit to having this type of setup in your DPS mix, especially when we're talking about group fights, Zerg, keep battles, things of that nature. With Greymoor, there really shouldn't be any group that has a healer that at least one of them's not running transmutation. It's just going to be so beneficial this patch. And when you combine that with the fact there's still going to be some players that run full Impen on every piece of gear that they can, they're going to be well over the 80% reduction of the modifier, that speccing that hard into doing crit damage really doesn't seem like it's going to be worth it in CP PvP this patch. And let's face it, the guys that are squishing, you're already hitting at an 80% multiplier because they're in all of Divines. They're going to die regardless when you burst them with Malacath and not have your crits. Like, it's something at this point where I'm not sure that it's making a whole lot of sense. But it will be interesting to see how the player base adapts to this. How they're going to make adjustments in their builds and things of that nature. And we'll just have to kind of play it by ear. But Malacath's Band of Brutality definitely has a lot more viability than what people are letting on. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll respond to them as soon as I can. You guys have a great day.